Evil likes to brag, especially these elitists. They tell you what they're going to do. You just got to be able to see it. It's already started to create the Big Brother scenario that is needed for the Antichrist system. We have invited this Big Brother technology, and AI can and already is tapping into all these systems to monitor us like rats in the cage. Drones are going to be watching. Drones are going to be following. Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. This year, they will finally have the technology to download the contents of a person's brain. There's one thing you will never be able to download, let alone re-upload. It's called a soul.
So I want to talk about Donald Trump and this Stargate program.
Yeah.
What are some actual ways that you see this Stargate program actually helping give rise to the Antichrist? Because like right now we said, okay, they're throwing $500 billion at this, yeah. But just throwing money at something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to rise up like that. What are some of the strategies and the things that you've seen that tell you that this is going to be leading to that system that the Antichrist will eventually use?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. And again, it's a big deal. And that's why Trump compared it. If you look at the interview, he compared it to the Manhattan Project, the Apollo Project. And he literally said, this is historical. Most people have already forgotten about it, his first day in office. But I agree with him. It's historical. It's a biblical historical event because it is going to, and it's already started. And I'm not anti-American. I'm not a communist. I'm just saying it's already started to create the Big Brother scenario that is needed for the Antichrist system. And the AI is being unleashed in the background to control all the CCTV cameras, and not just like you would expect on the light posts and out in the public. I'm talking in every restaurant. And listen, I'm talking in every home. We have invited this Big Brother technology under the guise of convenience, and AI can and already is tapping into all these systems to monitor us, John, like rats in the cage. Yes, unfortunately, even in the United States of America. And again, we bring out the proof. I don't just say that. That's a pretty alarming thing to say. We bring out the proof that this is already happening. So basically, anytime you see the word smart, you need to supplant that with the word Big Brother. So that means not only your smartphone, that's a Big Brother phone. This is the biggest Big Brother tracking device, listening device. They turn on your camera and you don't even know. We got it on video, John. They could do it at any time, anywhere you're at. They know exactly where you're at, which, by the way, how's the Antichrist going to know when people disobey and where they're at? As long as you got a cell phone, he'll know exactly what you say, what you do, and then this tells him exactly where you're at to take you out. So that's just an easy example, but that's a smartphone. There's also smart TVs, which we demonstrate, and we actually demonstrate that not coming, they're already being tapped into. And George Orwell, 1984, eat your heart out. Okay. The TVs are not just listening, smart TVs. They're not just listening. They're watching you. That's exactly 1984, man. John, this is already happening. But there's smart thermostats. There's smart lights. There's smart cars. There's smart homes, right? There's smart cameras, smart security. And we demonstrate every single one of those can be hacked and monitored. And then that takes me back to the scripture when Jesus said, the people in the 7-year tribulation, he says, when you see the abomination of desolation, your only option is to flee to the mountains, flee to the hills. He specifically says, do not go back to your house. And you're thinking, well, man, at a time of crisis, you think you go back to your house, right? Well, no, not now, because it's the biggest Big Brother paradise ever, right? That's the last place you would want to go. But this is already happening. Now you're thinking like, Pastor Billy, that's pretty crazy. That's a pretty wild accusation that AI is tapping and monitoring the systems, all these cameras and stuff and listening devices. Oh, by the way, everybody that's got an Alexa and all that stuff, throw it away, get it out of your house, because that thing is listening and recording your conversations. Again, we got proof of that. They've been caught so many times. It's a bugging device. Okay, but anyway, so you're going like, okay, well, what does this got to do with the Stargate program? And what's the proof that they're really going to use this? And this is from... And I brought this specifically. And of course, we bring out the actual video. You can see it. But this is from Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison is one of the three that you mentioned who's running up this Stargate program. Most people have no idea who this guy is. He's the CEO of Oracle, right? And he's the second richest guy on the planet. In fact, I think it was 2 weeks ago, he briefly, for like an afternoon, eclipsed Elon Musk as the richest guy on the planet. But then Musk took him over and he's back on top again. That's Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison has art, and I got him, John. It's going to sound crazy, but I got it on video. He's already told us, and I'm going, did somebody tell Trump about this? Right? What Larry Ellison is planning on to do with AI? Big brother, watch this. This is from Larry Ellison, and he says this: everyone will see everything going on. Your body cam will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior because we'll be constantly watching, recording what's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we will be constantly watching, recording everything that's going on. It will be impeachable. And then he tries to pitch it like it's a good thing. He says there's not even going to be any more police car chases because that's dangerous. We're going to use drones. Drones are going to be watching. Drones are going to be following, all that stuff, right? He said it's very simple. He said if there's a problem, and I quote, AI will report the problem, report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever that needs to take control of the situation. He has admitted on tape what he plans on doing with this AI. They are going to use it as the infrastructure to monitor people. I just described it. It's on tape around the world. But here's the point, John, that's exactly Revelation 13. They are going to know where everybody's at any time. They'll be able to listen and watch and know exactly where you are so that when a global order goes out, whether or not you obey. That big brother system is being built before our very eyes. And right now, while half the church is asleep at the wheel, the other one's increasing anti-Semitism and being a bad example, causing division. This is going on. The infrastructure is being laid. And I got the guys who are running this program admitting on tape, that's exactly what they're going to do with it. And my point is this: I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose. I'm just saying it's a Bible prophecy related issue. Can we talk about this? Is it illegal to talk about prophecy anymore?
I mean, well, let's just talk about Larry Ellison for a second.
Yeah.
The company that he runs is called Oracle. What else do we know about as an oracle? I mean, It is forthtelling. It is prognosticating. It is looking into the future. Right. I mean, it just seems so many times that these people are putting things out there front and center, and we're just not even seeing that. I mean, he's putting the name right there.
I use a phrase that I came across years ago. Evil likes to brag. They like to, especially these elitists, they like to basically, they tell you what they're going to do. You just got to be able to see it. And sometimes, especially, I come out of the occult, and I've done a lot of studies on the occult, because it's a biblically related issue. You want to study the occult, read the Bible. It's all over the place, Old and New Testament. Mm-hmm. God warns about that. And what you're talking about is oracle. That was that people would go to the occult, the medium, to look for the future, to get advice and wisdom. They, suppose they have godlike powers and things of that nature. I don't think it's by chance he chose that name, and because knowing what he's involved in. And but people need to understand that they tell you what they're going to do. And the reason why is because the Antichrist, look at the Antichrist. He's the Antichrist. He's the opposer of Christ in place of Christ. At the midway point, I already mentioned the abomination of desolation. He's going to declare himself to be God. Well, what's the problem? You're not God. Nobody can be God. There's only one God. But this is why it says there, he arrives on the scene with lying, false, counterfeit wonders and powers and so-called miracles. They're counterfeits, John. And this is what the Antichrist does. He's not God, but he fools people into thinking he's God because he seems to be all-knowing. He knows what everybody's doing, what they're thinking, what they're saying. Well, it's a counterfeit, John. He uses technology to get the job done, but people don't know the technology, so he appears godlike, right? And things of that nature. So that's what the enemy does. He tries to replicate God, to be like God, right? And that's what these people do, right? With their technology and things of that nature. And but that's all satanic. That's all the occult. That's all the demonic things that are going to lead up into the 7-year tribulation with the Antichrist. And so here you got guys working on this system that I'm convinced is going to enable the Antichrist to do his counterfeit godlike powers. Okay. And then these guys that are building it are telling you who they're working for, back to the oracle. That's an occult thing, man.
It is fascinating how it is right out there in front of us, and we just choose not to see it most of the time.
Right.
And it's because we're either asleep or we're too busy, or we're either asleep on this side or too busy being preoccupied with looking for conspiracies that aren't there rather than the ones that actually really are.
This guy's also a transhumanist, big transhumanist, right? And for those of you who don't know, we've done deep dives on that as well. But transhumanists are the technology elites who not only are building the infrastructure for a one world government, a one world cashless society, but go figure, big brother society. But they believe it is their duty as these elitists, these billionaire elites, working with people like the World Economic Forum and the people pulling the things behind the scenes, that it is their duty to reset humanity into a new humanity, to transcend the limitations of humanity, hence transhumanism. And so they're not just, I tell people this all the time, the Great Reset, which by the way has not stopped since Trump got in office, and it hasn't stopped since Schwab went to the background. They're still moving forward. The Great Reset has two sides to the same coin. The first side is an economic reset, which is a prophecy-related issue, cashless society, all that kind of stuff. Flip that coin over, it's a human reset. And these same elitists, including Larry Ellison, he's one of them, a transhumanist, they are believing that they're going to speed up the process of evolution with science and technology, not just create the cashless society, the one world government, the big brother society, but they're going to use science and technology to speed up the process of evolution, to free man from their limitations, and going to create, and this is their terms, so you could look it out for yourself. I'll give you some homework. Look up the term human 2.0, post-human species, augmented humanity, right? This is their term. That's what they believe they want to do. They want to create a hybrid humanity. Now, not to get sidetracked, that's a prophecy-related issue. Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Matthew 24:37, right? Well, do we see a repeat of the days of Noah? What was going on in the days of Noah? One of the things that was going on was the Nephilim issue, a hybridization of mankind. John, they're repeating this. Now, here's my point with Larry Ellison. That's just a little sidetrack, a little nugget for you. But Larry Ellison, if you look at him on tape, Larry Ellison is over 80 years old. Now go look at that. Go look at that.
He does not look like he's over 80.
Dude, he doesn't look anywhere close to 80. And
he doesn't look natural, but he doesn't look over 80.
He does not, right? And so this is part of what they want to bring in as a transhumanist. It's called the three supers, right? Super intelligence, and we're talking IQ on the order of 1,000. Genius is, I think, at 140. Super health, like, get rid of all diseases, and which, by the way, is what he also announced in the Stargate program. They're going to mass produce mRNA vaccines, cancer vaccines, with the help of AI in 48 hours. And then super longevity. These people believe in total rebellion to God, that they're going to use science and technology to be forever young. And I can't prove it, but I'm going, dude, you're using some sort of technology, some counterfeit, because you're 80 plus years old and you look nothing close to that. But that's just kind of a side issue, but it is another prophecy related issue. He's a transhumanist. A lot of these guys that are around that White House now, man, they are kissing Trump's boots. But one other common denominator, they're all transhumanists. They hated his guts last time, but they like him now.
You wonder what changed. Well, I want to. You said that was a side issue. Let's put that back on the main plate here, because there's two people I want to talk about. Now, one I just found out about recently. His name is Ryan Johnson, I believe. He is biohacking extraordinaire. He's doing all kinds of stuff to try to reverse his age. He's a social media influencer with that multi-millionaire. I forget the company that he has, but I'd like to get your thoughts on that. But then there's also this other guy that is into the transhumanism, Peter Thiel. You and I have talked about him briefly before, whenever we were talking about the Antichrist. And he's been going around doing this Antichrist teaching series, which is just kind of strange because he's not a believer. Right. So what is a non-believer talking about the Antichrist for? What are your thoughts about those two guys?
The trend, I'll give you the big envelope right now. Most of the tech industry, Silicon Valley, we call it, but again, they're not only into technology, but they're billionaire elites. That whole industry, John, is on we mentioned an AI race. They're on a race to develop the technology to create a false immortality, super longevity, which is a transhumanist plank. And that's why they're doing all this stuff, merging mankind with technology to create like a cyborg scenario to where you could extend your life through that. Another one, I'll just give you the methods that they are working on. and I got this on video. One of them is, I call it the low-tech method, and they're literally going to sever one person's head before they die and then put it on a fresh body, younger body, and use AI. It's called Brain Bridge technology. And then AI is so fast, it can hurry up and reconnect all the vessels and stuff. And then they shoot this foam stuff to keep it connected. And it's called a head-to-head transfer. And then what they do is they take the face off the older guy, but then put it on the younger body. And so basically the guy got a brand new body and still his face. It sounds crazy. I'm not joking, but I got it on camera, got it on tape. This is on 2 different interviews, right? And one of them was a doctor who was prepared to do the surgery, things of that nature, talking about that. And this is kind of crazy. And then he was serious about that. He said, just got to make sure you use a sharp knife. Well, duh. Anyway, but dude, it sounds like, okay, you're waiting for, a Saturday Night Live parody to come out with this. No, these guys are serious. Okay. So that's what I call the low tech method. They're going to chop one head off, put it onto the body, and then hence cheat death, right? Before you die, you put your head on a new body. This is transhumanism 101. And this is what all these tech guys you're talking about, Peter Thiel, the other guy, Johnson, Larry Ellison. Oh, let me add to the list. Mark Zuckerberg is a transhumanist. Bill Gates, also Jeff Bezos, Amazon, transhumanist big time. You go on down the line. Oh, and by the way, those guys that I just described to you who hated Trump in the last term, what are they doing now? Oh, they're doing selfies with them. They're having meetings. They're chumming up to him big time this time. Right.
And they're part of the funding, the private funding for the new ballroom at the White House, too.
Exactly, John. There's like something weird going on. I'm going like, listen, I'm not an anti-Trump guy. I'm not saying he wakes up, does this for the Antichrist, right? I'm not an anti-America. I'm not a communist, okay? But I'm a Christian. You're supposed to tell the truth. We called out the Bible prophecy-related issues in the last administration in obedience to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Why can't we talk it out with this one? Is it okay? Is it illegal now? What's the problem? Why are you going to sleep? And why are you calling me an Antichrist supporter? I'm trying to have a biblical discussion here. But you're right. That's the common denominator. These guys are not just tech moguls who are building the infrastructure for the Antichrist kingdom. They're also transhumanists. John, is pretty freaky. Now, you mentioned the Johnson guy. Part of the second technology that they're using to create a false immortality is a cyborg. And that's where you merge man with machine. Right. And so if a body part goes away, then that's okay. We'll create a cyborg. You merge man with machine. The other one that they're working on, too, is a brain transference. And there's 2 scenarios for that. So they believe, and this is Ray Kurzweil. He's a big transhumanist, been working for Google, which, by the way, both Google brothers are transhumanists, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, which, again, are both involved with the White House also. But Kurzweil said that it's this year, John, 2025, this year, they will finally have the technology to download the contents of a person's brain. Now, and so here's their deal. Before they die, they just got to make sure they download the latest version, what's going on in a person's brain, their whole history, all their memories, all that stuff. And then they're working on 2 options for that. One, or actually 3. One, back to the cyborg scenario. It may be not just combining man with a machine, but maybe it's a full-on machine. But you upload the contents of the person's brain, and you got like a RoboCop scenario. No joke. They're actually working on that. The second thing, once they download the contents and re-upload, may not be a cyborg. It may be a clone, a human clone. Now, that sounds futuristic crazy, but I got the goods on tape. Yes, folks, if you think cloning went away, if you think they're not doing humans, you are fooling yourself, right? A lot of us thought that the cloning went away after Dolly the sheep in the 90s. No, it has never stopped. In fact, we have Hollywood celebrities who are cloning their pets. Mm-hmm. That's in the news right now. So you mean to tell me if they've been cloning pets and been doing that for years, that nobody in the background's been working on human? You give me a break. So the transhumanists, they believe that they're cloning. And so basically you clone yourself. And when you need it, you upload the contents, you erase the contents in the clone, put your contents in the clone. As crazy and sick as that is, that's the other plan. The other one is what I call the avatar scenario. Avatar. Wait a second. They did a reboot with that. I wonder why, just in time to advertise what the transhumanist agenda is. And so then they go to the next step. And they say, we're going to download the contents of the brain. We're going to re-upload it into a computer, merge with AI, or just merge with a computer existence. And then you get to live forever in this digital world. But the benefit of that is you can be whatever you want to be forever and ever and ever. You want to be a rabbit, you want to be whatever, you can make it up as you go because you're in a digital world, right? Sounds crazy, but you look at a lot of the Hollywood movies and the sitcoms, they're preparing people for that mindset, not just Avatar. What happened with the Avatar? The guy, they put his brain into what? Another body, right? And then in the body that wasn't the same. That's kind of almost like a Nephilim issue. So it's a mindset. There's a Jeff Bezos, remember he's a transhumanist. They've had, I don't know how many seasons it's into now. It's a show called Upload.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Dude, what's the premise of Upload? Before the guy died, what happened?
They they downloaded his brain and memories and personality into the machine, and they uploaded it to this fantasy world. Yeah,
to live in theory, they say forever, never, never, right? So this is what's going on. This is the guys who are now in the White House. This is the guys who are building the Big Brother infrastructure, who I got admitted on tape. This is what they plan on doing with it. It's a Bible prophecy related issue. These are also the guys who are repeating the sin of Genesis 6, the hybridization of mankind, which Jesus said is a sign you're in the last days too, because it's going to be a repeat of the days of Noah. Go figure, even that sin's being done. But here's my point. These methods that I just described to you that they think they're going to cheat death, these guys, John, are in for a rude awakening because the Bible is very clear. Job 14:5 says, God has determined the length of our lives and we're not given a minute longer. And the Bible is very clear. Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed to man to die once and then face judgment. There is no second chance. You're not going to cheat your date with destiny. And here's my point. I don't doubt that these guys have the technology, because these are all the tech moguls, and they have the money to pull it off. The billions and billions of dollars, more money than you and I could ever dream. And this is really what they're doing. I don't doubt that you could download the bits and bytes of information in a person's brain. I don't doubt that they could do it. I think Ray Kurzweil is spot on. They've probably already got that now as of this year. The problem is, John, they're making a big mistake. Because you might download information from a person's brain, but there's one thing you will never be able to download, let alone re-upload. It's called a soul. The soul comes from God, right? And so here's my point. I don't doubt that these guys are going to attempt it, but what kind of freaky thing is going to come out in the back end? And it ain't going to be that person, because the moment that transhumanist dies, they're going to be standing before God. And they're going to be thrown into hell for their rebellion against God when they had the way out for free through Jesus. Right? And what's going to be re-uploaded is going to be a freaky concoction. It's crazy. It's awesome. And then remember we talked about the Antichrist, the counterfeit thing? John, that's everything that the transhumanists are pushing, even godlike powers, is a counterfeit to what people could have for free in Jesus Christ. Think about it, right? Yeah. They say, we want to give you super intelligence, right? Well, John, if I need wisdom for anything that I could ever think of, any direction, any problem in life, where do I go? Right here. God's already given us super intelligence right here. It's called the Bible, right? And that's free. I don't have to be transformed. I don't have to be merged with technology, right? The Bible says that, or the transhumanists say that, we want to create a world without suffering, right? And we're going to create super health and whatever. Well, guess what? If you get saved through Jesus Christ, you get to be a part of the world where there's no more suffering, no more mourning, no more crying and pain. And it's real. It's really coming, John. That's our future. Well, then the transhumanists say, well, I just want to be able to live forever and to be free. Well, man, you get saved. Last time I checked, you get to have eternal life through Jesus Christ. You live forever in a place beyond your wildest dream. We want to create paradise on earth. John, you get saved. You get to be a part of the millennial kingdom, where the planet's renovated after the 7-year tribulation, the Garden of Eden-like conditions. And after that, you have the new heavens, the new earth. Everything they promote, John, is a counterfeit to what God offers in mercy for free through Jesus Christ. You can't tell me that's not an antichrist mentality. The concern is they're involved right here. And I'm just saying, can we have a discussion about it?